Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect, you sincere brothers and sisters coming back to the Most High God, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, via the sacrifice made by his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who is our mediator, our high priest, and our way back to the Father. And through his blood, the elect will be covered. All right. And ultimately, we've been given the Holy Spirit of promise, which gives us a foretaste of the future glory. All right. And ultimately, to know the plans and the wiles of the devil. All right. So that we can separate ourselves from this world and prepare for the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. That is the only way. All right. The elect will be brought back to the Father. All right. Through Yahweh Shai's sacrifice, not our own righteousness. Okay. Not wearing fringes all around the planet Earth. Ultimately, it would be through the blood of Yahweh Shai. All right. Which in that, all right, the elect will walk on the path of righteousness, which would lead to immortality. Not bowing the knee to the image of Baal, and the prophets would ultimately be prophesying, warning, reporting of things that speak to prophecy. Okay? Another prophecy watch. All right, as we watch the prophecies and ultimately report, all right, to the elect. Okay? So that you can know exactly what times you're in and that the words that are written in this book are faithful and true. All right, as the scriptures say, in the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, as you can see, it says a message for the exiles, all right, in Babylon and Great, as well as all of the captivities where we are scattered. All right, we're exiles, okay? But ultimately, when you read Jeremiah 50 and 51, all right, it's a letter that was written by Jeremiah, all right, to the captives at Babylon. But when you read it, all right, it's not actually speaking of, all right, the Neo-Babylonian Empire that Israel, all right, or, all right, in particular the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, were in. Is actually speaking to this captivity that we are in, all right, foreshadowing the destruction coming to it, all right, and basically giving us comforting words. Jeremiah 51 and 45, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. Now, how do you deliver yourself out of the midst of Babylon? It's through repentance, transforming your mind, all right, understanding what the will of the Lord is, as the scriptures say. Let's get that, okay? Because if you get caught up in trying to have a future in this place, it's not that you don't take care of your daily needs. It's not, that you don't, go to work or take care of, if you have a business or whatever it is, you don't just throw it away or go and quit. But your expectation, okay, and understanding of what the Lord is doing and what he plans on doing, okay, the expectation and the ways of this world, you separate yourself from them, okay, understanding what the will of the Lord is, okay. I guess that's a lot of scriptures that say will of the Lord. So let's do this. Understanding. All right, this is the book of Ephesians 5 and 16. I start at 15. It says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, around spectly to look, redeeming the time. All right, meaning you're not wasting time, which we tend to do in this flesh. All right, but ultimately we're in the times where you should be praying more. All right, listening to the lessons. If you're teaching, you're doing lessons, because the time is short. Redeeming the time, or as it says in the NLT, make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. So you're constantly praying. You're constantly, calling on the name of the Lord. You're constantly, all right, in the spirit, all right, overcoming death, constantly speaking victory. Okay? You're constantly tying everything that you see around you to prophecy. And as we're going to get into the micro C-hip, how in the hell can we look at what's happening in the world and say that John the Revelator did not write about it in his writings when he wrote Revelation, and specifically the 13th, 14th, and 15th chapter? Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. What is the will of the Lord as concerning Babylon the Great? He's going to destroy it. Okay? So now is not the time, okay, to, it's not like, some brothers are into investments, but they have the mindset and know and understand that there's going to come a point where they have to let that go. Okay? Ultimately, as it says here, and be not drunk with wine. A lot of people are drunk. A lot of Israelites, all right, or, of the opinion that we're going to be here another 1,000 years. All right, when you talk about the end of this place coming, they say y'all been saying that. Y'all going to speak Jacob's trouble into existence. They don't want the prophecies to come to pass because ultimately, all right, they know they're not right. Okay, if you're doing the right thing, all right, and if you're putting your best foot forward, ultimately you're expecting, all right, victory. Now, we don't know that we're chosen, but we know that we were called, all right? And again, put therefore on the elect. Somebody's going to get delivered. Somebody's telling the truth. We're not here to push doubt. We have a sure word of prophecy, and be not drunk with wine wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. See that? So as we go into these prophecies, again, this is the message from Jeremiah to the exiles, to the captives at Babylon. My people, verse 45, go ye out of the midst of her and deliver every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. Okay? It says, and we're not going around joining ourselves with this world, all right, for some sort of vain, vision, all right, that appeases to the flesh of the people. No, we're doing and speaking the Lord's will into existence, not our own will. Okay? Lest your heart faint. Okay? And a lot of people's heart's going to faint when these things actually hit because they didn't prepare themselves. And ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and then violence in the land, and ruler against ruler. And these are the times that we're in. And these rumors, all right, are ultimately going to be spoken by the prophets. Okay, now we use certain platforms to help, speak to ultimately what we're talking about. Okay, but as you can see here, Sham Y, all right, Shama Y. Okay, it says report, news, rumor, report, news, tidings, to mention. All right, the root word shamai, to listen, to obey, to hear, to give heed, to consent, okay, to yield to, okay. It says to make a proclamation, to summon, and which we're summoning Yahweh Shai and the angels, man, okay, through the Spirit. We're speaking the end into existence, okay. So there's going to be a lot of you Israelites that are going to panic because ultimately you didn't separate yourselves from this world. All right, you only became an Israelite in word. See? Now, how in the hell did John the Revelator, when we read Revelation the 13th chapter, not see this great prophecy? Okay, this is off of end time headlines. Where chimp implants are heading should terrify all of us. Recent advancements in neural and bio-integrated C-hip implants have sparked widespread discussion about their potential to transform human capabilities. with applications ranging from medical breakthroughs to cybernet enhancements reminiscent of science fiction. A report titled From Brain Bluetooth to Full Robocop, where chip implants, and this is not medical information, all right? We are merely just in the news, okay? Where C-hip implants will be heading soon, published by the Conversation, explores the trajectory of this technology, highlighting both its promise and ethical complexities. Drawing on insights from multiple news sources, this article examines the current state of C-hip implants and their projected future, weaving together perspectives on innovation, societal impact, and challenges ahead. The Conversations report outlines how C-hip implants are evolving beyond simple medical devices, such as, all right, cochlear implants or pacemakers, into sophisticated systems capable of interfacing directly with the brain or enhancing physical abilities, all right? And ultimately, these are those miracles, okay? And boy, oh boy, are they coming with it. Okay, we'll show you a video. It says neural implants, often dubbed brain Bluetooth, are being developed to treat neurological disorders like Parkinson's disease or epilepsy or modulating brain activity. Okay, again, as we told you, he's going to bring it as if it's there to help you, but we know the plan behind this technology. Okay, remember the devil speaks with a forked tongue. Okay, and again, when John the Revelator, brought this prophecy out, okay, it wasn't in vain. Okay, something that we would have to guess, or this mystery. All right, it's sin. Well, everybody sins. So do I have the MOTB, or am I doomed? Okay, we sin every day. Okay, knowingly, unknowingly, sometimes, or most of the time unknowingly. But we try to do right, but we're in the worst case scenario. We're in sinful flesh. We're in a system that is totally contrary to what we want and what we're trying to attain. It's contrary to righteousness. The scriptures say that the saints will be worn out. The word worn out in Daniel 7:25 means to constantly harass. So everything works against us. So to just say that the MOTB is sin, now it is a sin to take it, right? But to just say it's sin itself, well, how does that going to play out into buying and selling? How does that play out, all right, in what we're looking at right now? Again, the way that these camps break down the MOTB, it makes you to believe as though the Lord said these things in vain. As a matter of fact, let me get this scripture. Okay? This is the book of Isaiah 45. Okay, in 18. I'll start at 18 in the NLT. It says, For the Lord, all right, for thus saith Yahweh, all right, the power, and he created the heavens and earth, and he put everything in place. He made the world to be lived in, not to be a place of empty chaos. And this is what Esau is doing with the earth. He wants everybody gone for the most part, all right, and he wants to set up a chaotic environment. He's setting up chaos right now. Okay? But he wants to rid the earth of all human life for the most part and just have a little bit of people left over so he can rule over them via his AI, man. And create his new animals and all he's doing. This dude is crazy, man. We'll show you a few things. It says, I am Yahweh and there is no other. There is no other Yahweh. Now, there are powers under him with his only begotten son being the first spirit created and everything else going through that order. But there is no other, all right, omnipotent power, okay? It's Yahweh. It says, I publicly proclaim bold promises. I do not whisper obscurities in some dark corner. I will not have told the people of Israel to seek me if I cannot be found. I, the Lord, speak only what is true and declare what is right. Okay? Again, he proclaims bold promises. All right. He didn't whisper it in some dark corner. When you read Revelation, the 13th chapter, all right, Revelation 13, 14, and 15, again, 13 gives the plan of the beast. 14 gives the counter, the men of the Lord prophesying against the beast, his image and his mark. 15 gives you what? The result and the elect having victory over the beast, his image and his mark. And we are in the end times, right? So when you read Revelation 13, all right, this devil will come, all right, with his miracles. Okay, Revelation 13 and 14. And this marks the children of Satan. When you look at all of these things that he's doing, that he has power to do, all right, Revelation 13 and 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do. Power through the left-hand side. Again, this man will come to do the bidding of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders, miracles, pseudoscience. See? He was given power to do these things. This is why it's so far out. But really, it's a plan to hijack, all right, all of the spirits and have control and dominion over every soul. Okay? Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, conform themselves and recreate themselves in his image, which all ties back to the ancient Western Roman Empire, which has been revived into the earth, which had a wound by a sword and did live. Okay? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which he's establishing his image in the earth, which is rooted in sin. All right? But as you keep reading, verse 16 says what? And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you look up this word forehead, right? Metapon, metaverse, the space between the eyes and the forehead, okay? So he wants control, okay, of the minds of the people, man, okay? That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And we always go through these things. Okay, the number of his name being associated with the 666, chi-side stigma. We always go into that. Okay, and if you take this, ultimately you are putting his name on you. You see? So again, when John wrote this, he's looking at the times we're living in now. He's looking in these times. He's seeing everything that we're going through. But somehow he missed this. Somehow he never warned about this. He didn't write about it. This is what IUIC, ISUBK, all right, and a lot of these other camps are telling you. But somehow the camps that say they do believe it, they don't teach it. They're caught up in Wendy Williams soap opera madness. Okay? They ain't prophesying because they ain't prophets. All right, sometimes we'll be like, why these guys ain't prophets? Well, they ain't prophets. The scriptures say, let thy prophets be found faithful. So the prophets are going to be talking about this. This ain't nothing, this is serious business here. This marks the end of Esau's world when he came with this. Okay? It said the report outlines how chip implants are evolving beyond medical devices such as cochlear implants or pacemakers into sophisticated systems capable of interfacing directly with the brain or enhancing physical capabilities, man. That forbidden fruit, okay? Neural implants, often dubbed brain Bluetooth, are being developed to treat disorders like Parkinson's, epilepsy, all right, or by modulating brain activity. Again, it's setting itself up to be a savior. It's an idol. Okay, this is a physical thing. Again, when you look up the word mark, okay, the word mark in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, it's cherachma. And there's many words for mark, but for some reason, it uses charagma or charagma. Okay, it says a stamp and printed mark, a mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah. And as we always show you, in ancient times, we know in ancient Egypt and in various captivities, they branded their servants, they branded their slaves. The Greeks branded, the Romans tattooed. Okay? Okay, why did the Greeks brand their subjects? The ancient Greeks sometimes branded slaves as certain criminals, and this practice was mainly about control, punishment, and marking someone as property or having a dishonorable status. All right, and again, there's so much crime going on. This is gonna call for a system, okay, to where we can know who's good and bad. Right? Ownership of slaves. Slaves were often branded to show ownership, like a permanent ID tag. The brand would sometimes be the initials or symbol of the master. Again, the name of the beast. Okay? Which makes you a traceable, trackable, barcode, right? Upgraded, trackable, traceable, being on their grid. Okay? Punishment and stigma. Branding could also be used to punish criminals or social outcasts like runaway slaves or those convicted for crimes. All right. Security and control. Branding runaway slaves helped prevent them from escaping again, since the mark made them easy to identify. The Greeks weren't the only ones who did this. Branding was common in many ancient societies, including Rome. Why did the Romans tattoo people? The Romans used tattoos or stigma, chai-sized stigma, okay, primarily for control, identification, and punishment. So it's the same thing, okay? Military identification. Roman soldiers were often tattooed as a form of ID. These tattoos, usually on the hand or forehead, can mark allegiance, their unit, and origin. This helped prevent this desertion and made it easier to identify. All right. Punishment for criminals. Branding religious dissenters in later periods, especially under Christian emperors. Tattoos were used to punish those seen as heretics or non-Christian. Okay. But again, all right, eventually Emperor Constantine, the first Christian emperor, banned tattoos, seeing the face is made in the image of God, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But again, we know that the scriptures say, let's get it real quick, in the book of Ecclesiastes, right? What does the book of Ecclesiastes tell us? We always bring it out, but we go bring it out again. And if you're tired of hearing about the same things, or you're tired of seeing these scriptures, well, you can simply turn it off and go do your own lesson, or, there's a bunch of stuff to watch. All right. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 NLT. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. So again, if that which is then is now, what we're looking at is something ultimately that happened before, but it's upgraded. It's a digital form of all of those things we just read. Okay? And again, we just read, right? We just read. And all of these camps playing games, putting all of these gimmicks in front of you and slandering and yelling and screaming so that you can take your mind, they can take your mind away from the reality of what's happening. It ain't going to work on the elect. Only the uninitiated will be fooled. The elect will eventually come to their senses. Okay? The initiated are going to get it. Okay? In their own time. But the time is short. Charagma, again, the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah. All right, which ultimately the whole system is anti-Messiah. All right, but the anti-Messiah or the Antichrist was literally those who were in the church and left and rebelled. Okay, so they took that anti-Messiah term and made it into this mythical creature who's going to lead the world at the end, I don't know. Okay, some says Trump, some says Obama, some says the Pope. Okay, all of them are anti-messiahs. Okay. It says the mark branded upon horses. Now, why are horses branded? For identification. Okay, I mean, I can't see why y'all don't see this. A thing carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous image. It's an idol. A badge of servitude. What is servitude? A badge of servitude, the state of being a slave, completely subject to someone more, all right, powerful. Subjection of property to an easement. Okay? And again, that's exactly what this is, man. Okay? A graven mark. It's a graven. Okay? Graven. Acts 17 and 29. For as much then we are the offspring of God, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold, silver, or stone graven by art and man's device. So again, as you can clearly see, graven, that same word is this word for charagma. It's physical. Okay? This is a physical thing. Now, going back to this article, it says companies like Neuralink, which is just one of many, are pushing boundaries further, aiming to create brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, that could enable direct communication between the human brain and external devices. A recent article noted, and this gets you used to, okay, this is not bad, it's going to help people. It's help people, peace and safety. But we know that the devil is up to no good. What the hell happened? Okay, it says, a recent article noted Neuralink's progress in testing implants that allow paralyzed individuals to control digital interfaces using only their thoughts, with clinical trials showing early success in restoring limited motor functions. Beyond medical applications, C-hip implants are venturing into the realm of human augmentation. All right, let's look at the word augmentation so we can know what we're reading about. Okay, the action or process of making or becoming greater in size or amount. Okay, transhumanism. Okay, recreating man in his image. Okay, that's exactly what this is all speaking to. All right, and remember what the serpent told the woman in the garden in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Genesis 3 and 5. Genesis 3 and 5 in the NLT. God knows that your eyes will be opened as soon as you eat it, the forbidden fruit, right? Which is a philosophy. And you will be like God, knowing good and evil. I'm going to upgrade you to a God. Okay? That's what the whole transhumanism thing is all about. So this is nothing but the serpent in the garden all over again. This is why the scriptures refer to him as that old serpent. It's that same spirit. Okay? That old serpent called the devil and Satan. That's who would be ruling in end time prophecy. And that's speaking to Esau. The red dragon, the great dragon, which is tied to the what? Western Roman Empire that was revived. Okay, in particular, when you read that chapter, Revelation 12, the red dragon is tied to the Herodian dynasty, which are what? The Amalekites, the small hats today. That's who's at the forefront of all of this madness. Okay, just like they were at the forefront of that juice that came out in various videos, which they took them down. That the majority, all of the people who sat in high positions pushing that jab and was at the forefront of it were small hats. But somehow those are the people of the Lord. That's the chosen people right there. And they're justified in doing all of that wickedness. Okay? What the hell happened? Anyway, it says Let's go back here. Human augmentation. Ain't that something? Let's see if we can get a web search on that. Okay. Human augmentation refers to the use of technology to enhance or improve human capabilities. There you go. To enhance or improve physical human capabilities, extending or supplementing our natural abilities, particularly in the areas of physical, sensory, and cognitive functions. Okay? This can involve devices like prosthetics, hearing aids, or even brain computer interfaces. There you go. All right? It says, beyond medical applications, C-hip implants are venturing into the realm of human augmentation. The report references the possibility of full Robocop style enhancements where implants could enhance strength, cognitive, or sensory perception. Okay? So there's going to come a point where this doctrine, this gospel, okay, is going to be looked at as antagonistic to health, is antagonistic to, us actually helping people. See that? This is where it's going. This is why you're starting to see a lot of Israelites bitch up. A lot of them are getting weak. A lot of them they're making these weird arguments to try to separate themselves. But at the end of the day, it's not going to work. Okay? The elect are going to stand firm. All right? And the Lord is going to keep us from the hour of temptation. But before that, we will be tried. Some of us will be, go back to, be beheaded. This is all written, man. And as you look out into this world and you see what's happening and where it's going, you should be walking down in the straight gate, praising the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, man. Because even the thought of going back to the spirit world is comforting, looking at this world. But you have to understand death. You have to understand the truth about it. This is the only way to get through this is to be comforted by the truth, man. Okay? What does the scripture say in the book of, let's see here. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13. And now, dear brothers and sisters, we want you to know what will happen to the believers who have died, so you will not grieve like people who have no hope. So we're going to lose certain brothers and sisters, man. Some of us are going to go back to the spirit world before Yahweh Shai comes. But when you read this chapter, you get the comforting of knowing and understanding death. Throughout the whole scriptures, Yahweh Shai conquered death. There's really no such thing. See? And when the elect, all right, die, all right, the men of the Lord in specific, they go under the altar in the heavens, the praising the Lord, man. Calling on the Lord to prophesying in the heavens, man. That's in Revelation, the 6th chapter. So there's really no way to lose. So now is not the time because Esau's trying to threaten us. He's putting these talking points out there. Now you got Trump talking about, I'm going to do this to people who's again going to do that. I'm going to be able to cart you out. We ain't scared of that, man. Ain't nothing going to happen to us but what the Heavenly Father wants to happen. And we know that he ain't going to get all of us. Eventually, his standards is going to be lifted up. So if that's our part in the story, so that the glory can come, hey, it is what it is. But again, he ain't going to get every member. Okay? So you just read that chapter because I want to finish the lesson. But even Revelation 14, their works do follow them. And it specifically tied that to the new song because some people singing a new song are going to be persecuted unto death, man. All right? And I believe that the elect ain't going to even feel it. We just go transition. Esau going to do what he do, but we just go transition. Okay? And there's going to come a point where the Lord, there's so many that he's going to allow Esau to behead and do his thing, but there's a point where he's going to stop. He's going to stop it, and we're going to be, ooh, and, the investment is going to pay off in that day. Because hell nah, with this madness this devil got going on, hell nah. Okay? There is no reason to follow Esau, Edom, and bow to his agenda and bow the knee to the image of Baal at this point. These people are sick. Okay, let's read a little bit more here. It says, full Robocop style enhancements where implants could enhance strength, cognitive, and sensory perception. Popular Science echoed this sentiment, reporting on DARPA-funded projects exploring bio-integrated C-hips, could improve soldiers. Now they're talking about making super soldiers. Okay, and they got them robots. Okay, as a matter of fact, all right, WEF unveils Robocop with facial recognition, thought crime detection software. Okay. Capable of identifying weapons like knives, all right, and wooden batons. Okay, so you can look that up, but let's play this.
So this year, we hopefully will be able to make about 5,000 Optimus robots. We're technically, we're aiming for enough parts to make 10,000, maybe 12,000. But since it's a totally new product with...
And if they're saying 10,000, 5,000, and they got hundreds of thousands, and they know they're outnumbered, they know people are onto them, so this is what they're going to use. This is Daniel, the 12th chapter, a time like never before. We're going to need the Lord. Okay?
It's totally new. Like everything is totally new. I'll say like we're succeeding if we get to half of the 10,000 now. But even 5,000 robots, that's the size of a Roman legion, FYI. Which is like a little scary thought, like a whole legion of robots. I'd be like, whoa, okay. But I think we'll literally build a legion, at least one legion of robots this year. And then probably 10 legions next year. And I don't know, it's kind of a cool unit, units of legion.
And people are just sitting there laughing, but these things are going to be used to wage war on your ass.
So probably 50,000-ish next year. And then it's probably I'm hopefully ready for Optimus to be used outside of Tesla-controlled environment, or maybe around the middle of next year, second half of next year sometime. So I think that's probably sounds about right. Probably second half of next year is when they'll be available, and then we will offer Optimus robots first to Tesla employees. So you guys get the priority. There are some pluses and minuses to that, because it's probably have a few bugs, but it's going to be very cool. You'll want to invite your friends over and say, check this out. So this year
this is mad team. This is crazy. Okay, these people, look at this. Read. Let's read some of these headlines real quick. Okay, scientists begin creating genetically engineered super horses with altered D to the N to the IZA. And again, this is not medical information, man. We just reading what y'all are doing. This is why they're getting ready to shut down, because these people, all of these heathen are losing it. We ain't even got to go into that. What are you doing? Okay, Dallas-based company genetically recreates extinct direwolf. Okay, Dallas-based Colossal Biosciences say it has genetically recreated a direwolf, a species extinct 13,000 years ago, using, oh my goodness, man. They use gene editing and cloning techniques similar to IVF to insert dire wolf traits. All right, integrate. I mean, again, this is what we read about in the book of Genesis, the 11th chapter. Now nothing, all right, will be too hard for them. But basically, they're gonna do whatever the hell they want to do. There's no bounds. There's no limits to what they plan to do, man. As the scriptures say, the wicked boast. Okay, let's look that up. This is crazy. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Psalms 10:3. For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorred. Okay, they did it. For they brag about their evil desires, they praise the greedy and curse the Lord. The wicked are too proud to seek the Most High. They seem to think that He's dead. So they're losing their minds right now. Okay, they're literally, we're witnessing, all right, diabolical work. Okay, goodness gracious, man. What does this mean? Okay, and they're showing you little cute wolf, man. They probably got stuff in these labs that are going to be let loose. Now, the scriptures talk about newly created beast. Okay? Meanwhile, everything else is dying. Everything's dying, man. Okay? Scientists create world's largest lab-grown chicken nugget, complete with artificial veins. I mean, these people got to be stopped, man. And if you sitting up here, talking about, man, we gotta save Esau, man. Come on, man. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. All right. This is why they're talking about carting off their own citizens, because they're going to come after people who are telling the truth about their ass. And now is not the time to hide and shy away from prophesying against this man. Okay? The Lord's going to have the last laugh. Let's go back here and finish this and we'll close it out. Oh, I wanted to get I'll play a little bit of this video, but back to the point. It says, such developments raise the prospect of a future where implants blur the line between human and machine, enabling capabilities like real-time language translation or enhanced memory recall. However, these advancements comes with technical hurdles, including ensuring long-term biocompatibility and preventing, all right, immune rejection, as highlighted in a Wired article discussing the challenges. Now, we know what the scriptures say is going to happen to people. All right, you can read it yourself. I'm not going to read it because I remember I brought this out before. And just read verse 2. Read Revelation 16:2. Somebody just posted on the comment board. Okay, but again, if it was merely sin and not a physical thing, why is this going to happen? Okay? Why is this going to happen? In verse 2, Revelation 16:2. Okay, and when you look up that word for SORE, right? Basically, you read it, okay? Something producing discharge, okay? See that word, right? So it's going to be something that's going to mess you up. It's going to mess you up, man. Okay? It says, others express concern about privacy, autonomy, fearing that such technology could lead to surveillance or loss of control. Well, of course, that's what it's going to do. Okay? Let's play a little bit of this video and close it out.
This is a very important video about predictive programming. I've covered Black Mirror over the years. I even covered the trailer when it came out a few weeks ago. And now the new season of Black Mirror is out. And Black Mirror shows you the truth in plain sight more than anything else. And I use Black Mirror in my videos to show you this because it's an easier way for people to understand what exactly they're doing with technology. It exposes it all. It reveals it all. Of course, it's more of a horror series. People are horrified when they see this, but they don't even realize they're being trained into it in the real world by people like Elon Musk and these big tech companies who are openly talking about mixing man and machine and removing cell phones and implanting them in your body. Well, this is really important, okay? This new season of Black Mirror has an episode called Plaything. And everybody's talking about it. People Magazine has an article. They're saying, what happens to humanity in Plaything at the end of the episode? And they all speculate about it. But of course, they don't give you the real answer to what this is about because it's happening right in front of you. These big tech companies are already using this technology on human beings. So this character talks about coexisting. He's obsessed with a video game, so to speak, where he talks about the things in the video game being alive and real, kind of like we heard Gordy Rose talk about, right? Kind of like we heard about Elon Musk telling us that with artificial intelligence, we're summoning the demon. So he talks about coexisting, merging human beings with technology, that our mind is a computer and it's a platform for these things to coexist inside of. Watch this.
Absorbing their thoughts on your own?
Yes, we've been working together.
How?
And they wanted to coexist with humans. They need to study our minds, not just psychologically, but physically, to work out a means of coexistence, improvement for both of us. Over time, working in unison, we designed a neurological interface that would allow them to connect to me directly. It entailed a little home surgery. Not pleasant, but not as painful as I thought. Plug and play. The mind is a computer, and the throttle code. I just hooked myself up and they ported themselves across as proof of concept. They didn't overwrite anything on the way in. They just merged with me, like a benign parasite. Symbiotic coexistence. I'm part of a collective whole, and each day our mental capacity evolves.
For this magic machine, man, you're the enlightened one.
I'm part of a collective whole. I'm part of a collective whole.
So does that neurological interface connected directly with a machine, does that remind you of anything? Does it remind you at all of Elon Musk's Neuralink? Because that's exactly what they're referencing. That's exactly what they're referencing. And again, he goes on to talk about in some of these scenes how you're not going to need to even have it implanted in you anymore. They could just use signals. And he's referencing the nanotechnology that's going inside and already inside of people's bodies. But keep in mind what you saw in that clip. You saw the Neuralink being used. You saw that this man is talking about him being a platform that these entities can use, right? At the same time, they're telling you they want to get a Neuralink in you. The same time, they're telling you AI is going to take over. The same time, they're talking about super intelligence, which would be man and machine merging as one and coexisting. Did you hear what he said about symbiosis and a symbiotic coexistence? Does that sound familiar? Because that's exactly what Elon Musk has been talking about for years. Creating a neural lace, which is what you just saw, is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines. That's literally what you just saw there. This is the guy who is now hanging out in the White House with your president, who, if he wasn't associated with Donald Trump, most people would say, whoa, this guy's a nut job. I don't want to take his tech. But what are they doing right now? They're victimizing him. They're lumping him up with conservatives by design because they know that they'll use their big tech giants and they'll use guys like Bill Gates to get the Democrats on board with this tech. They have to convince the conservative Christians that this is not the mark of the beast, that this is safe, that this is an advancement in technology. You don't want to miss the boat. So they've taken Elon Musk out of the shadows, literally, and they put him in with Donald Trump, and he's now the face of our government. He's really just the most talked about person in America on a day in, day out basis along with Trump. That character said symbiotic coexistence. He's talking about Neuralace, which is exactly what you saw implanted in his head, which is the neural link for humans to achieve symbiosis with machines. And then he goes on to say, X is humanity's collective consciousness, just like that character talked about a collective consciousness, right? So now as we move on through the show, you're going to see him waiting to get a pen so he can draw on a piece of paper. He draws one of those codes that you always see at the, at the restaurants for your menu, or you see it everywhere. Now they put it pretty much on everything, and they want you to scan your phone with this code, right? So he draws this code. Then he turns over to a camera inside of this police station. And he does this for a reason. He does this so that the camera can download this code just like you do with your phone, or not you specifically, but people do with their phone when they're told, hey, you can't bring a ticket in anymore to the concert. You got to use your phone and scan the code, right? It'll download onto your phone. Well, that's what he does in this scene. And then watch how he talks about the emergency broadcast system and how that code that he sent in there is going to create chaos, how it's going to change everything. And watch how once that code goes through the camera lens, everybody's phone starts to download something. And as it downloads it and you wait for it to download, what ends up happening? Well, a signal is sent out and everybody just falls to the ground, looking like they're under demonic possession. Take a look at this.
So, what is that?
It's code.
I don't understand code.
No, but the system does. Possible to breach the firewall from outside. This is a simple program they wrote. Commands your state computer to open a back door for the throng, permitting access to all that juicy power, prompting an immediate singularity event will instantly adapt their essence into a signal, transmissible to the human mind. You won't need drugs or surgery. You merely have to hear it to receive it, to absorb it. Any moment now will trigger the global emergency broadcast system, and the signal will be simultaneously disseminated by every connected device in the world. Here we go.
This is transformative. It will merge an advanced collective intelligence and have an unity of mind. An upgrade for all of us to conflict.
Damn, E2?
So a lot of those things should ring a bell to you. Let's just recap what you saw there, right? He scanned the code, and from there, all of the tech that's in everybody's hand. Remember, because everybody has this in their hand. Everybody has it in their hand or their pocket or their purse, whatever. And it's downloading it now because they're sending the signal to everybody's phone. And then the phone goes static, right? And it makes this weird sound. It's going static, and then boom, everybody hears this frequency. And what happens? They go under possession, right? It looks like demonic possession. They all pass out on the ground. They give us an aerial shot. And of course, he at the end there reaches his hand out to lift up the character who looks like he's potentially dead, but he's actually mixed with machine because of this code. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind here. Let's go back to the emergency alert. He said he's going to send an emergency broadcast alert. That a code is going to, with that code, a sound is going to be sent, a signal.
All right, so you can watch the rest of this on Nations Conspire. All right, that's the title of the video. I just wanted to bring out a few things. I think that's pretty much it. You know, of course, we will be back with more. Yeah, you can read that. I already brought that one out. You read that title. All right, the devil ain't gonna stop. All right, but ultimately the prophets ain't gonna stop, man. And we're at the end of this man's world. Hopefully, I'll edify on to the next show.